All right, I think we're live, ladies. All right, I came in a couple minutes early. We're just waiting for Miss Tracy to share us over into the Craft Round the Clock group. It's been a while since I've done a Craft Round the Clock segment, so that will be fun. We're going to do these little coasters here. Maybe only get one done. You never know. We only have 45 minutes to paint, so we'll see how far we get. Thank you for sprinkling, Cheryl. Hi, Miss Terry. All right. So we're just wait for Miss Tracy to get us over there. We have about a minute left, I think. Let some people gather on in here. Have a little swig. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the little cow. See how far we get with the cow. And we may only get one done this evening, but that's okay. That's okay. Hi, Miss Becky. Hi, Sylvia. Just waiting on Miss Tracy. There she is. There is Miss Tracy. Okay, I think we're at 9:15. She's probably just getting us shared over now, so we can go ahead and get started. So, like I said, we're only going to be, hey, Miss Tracy, long time no see. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're going to do the cow tonight, but these are the two, and I thought, a set of 4 of 2 pigs, 2 cows, but we're going to just paint the cow tonight. I think that's all we're going to have time for this evening. So we're going to do that. So anyways, this is where we're headed. This is where we're headed. And this is where we're starting. All right, I'll just set that aside. My little pig aside. And we'll get going. So these are just little dollar store coasters. They're just little wooden coasters that you can get for, relatively cheap. I think they were literally $1.25 or something like that. So there's that. Now, I had there it is. So I based already with 1 coat of desert sand, but I'm going to put, and I'm using DecoArt brand paints, but I'm going to put a second coat on here because that first coat kind of just sinks right into the wood. So how has everybody been, Craft Round the Clockers? I have not been here, and I can't even remember the last time I've done a CRTC time slot, but it's good to be back with you all. Oh, thank you, Sharon, for following. Yes, and let me know if anyone is new to me. I know there's a lot of new people over on Craft Round the Clock that probably don't know who I am. I'm Yvette from Old Times Paint Parties. So if you're wondering who the heck is this lady that is just popping in here, it is Yvette. All right, so we're going to give that a quick dry, and then we're going to transfer our little cow over here. It will take a hot minute to dry this up. We have to make sure it's good and dry. All right, I just filled up on a whole lot of Chinese food, so I'm like super full. Since my mom has been visiting, there is no shortage of food in this place. It's like, I swear I'm gonna gain a few pounds while she's here. She likes to feed you for some reason. Okay, I think that's good. So I'm just going to bring my little line drawing over. Ooh, did you see that? If we lose power and I lose you, I apologize. We're kind of stormy here. We're a little stormy here where I'm at. All right, let's get this little cow on here and we can start basing him out. So I sort of made him a little, you know, a little primitive looking. Same as my little pig. I know that's what mamas love to do. I know. They love to feed you, but my waistline doesn't need it at all. Thank you, Anita. Yes, if you're not already following my page, please do, so that you can see when I'm on next. And make sure that if you don't follow Craft Around the Clock group, to do that as well. And if somebody wants to pop up the Craft Around the Clock link, I would appreciate you. All right, I think that's all I'm going to put on straight away. I just want to get this based out here first. I'm going to use a little bit of buttermilk and a little bit of blush pink to base this little guy in. So let's get going. All right, so we're here until 10 p.m. so Eastern. Just making a mental note for myself too, so I don't go over my time slot. Okay, so it'll take a minute or so just to get this base coating on here before the magic happens. You know, we always have to do the not so fun base coating part, but the part we is necessary, so we have to do it. So I don't want to bore you to death here, but it is what it is. Hello, stamps too much. What's your first name? I always feel awful calling you by your business name. I really like to know your first name as well. Throw that in there so I can call you by your actual first name. No, it wasn't a surprise for her to come visit. She's been planning on coming for a visit. She's been here for a couple weeks now. She's going to go back on Tuesday. But like I said, she's been feeding us well while she's here. All right, let's get his little ear tops done here. Hello, Barbara. I don't know if I'm going to survive long with this sweater on here. I was a little chilly with the AC on, and now it's not so much. What am I painting? I am painting a cow. It might not look much like a cow right now, but hopefully when I'm finished, it'll look like a cow. If any of you ladies paint that don't follow me, you know that it always kind of has to go through a little bit of an ugly phase before it gets to a cute face. All right, so let's fill that in a little bit with a bigger brush. He just kind of looks like a little bit of a blob right now. He doesn't look very cow-like just yet. And we'll put another quick coat on here now that this part is dry. I have to really watch my time because, like I said, I haven't done a segment with CRTC for a bit, and I'm out of practice with the 45-minute time slots. So you guys all have to keep me all will have to keep me on time. Okay, I'm going to give this a quick dry before we move on. Alrighty, and we'll put a little bit more on his head. You're all quiet tonight. Okay. And we'll just fill in his ears a little bit more, and then we'll put the pink on his nose and ears. And then we can move on to the next step. So I'll have this, I believe I will put this one on the website or my Shopify store as a template, if anybody would like the template for this design. The pig and the cow. So it'll just be a digital download of the line drawings for you. And I'll try and get that loaded tonight. I have some other things I have to load in there, so I will try and get this one in there as well. If you want to try your own set of coasters. All right. Still not looking very cow-like, is he? I always find it funny because as I look at it too, I think, how in the heck is this ever going to start looking like something? Until we start shading it and things start to come together. What would I seal them with? I use, believe it or not, I use Country Chic Paint has a really good furniture seal, like a top coat that you would use for their chalk paint. And I like to use it because it doesn't yellow and it's quite durable. So it would be great, like, especially for coasters, it would be really good because it's for furniture and it's, you know, like if it got wet, it would not penetrate the wood or break down in any way. This is blush pink. Come on, Sue. You know that I like blush pink. That's my favorite pink. I think I definitely have my favorites of what I use all the time. But yeah, this is blush pink. You had to know that, Susan. Hello, Perry. Okay, I think we're good on that little bit of base coating. I think we'll be good there. Now, I do think that, yeah, you knew it. You knew it. You could tell. I'm just putting a little bit more on his head. I can kind of see through there a little bit, but once we get all of the spots on here, it probably won't matter too much. But I'm going to now shade around the outer part. I'll show you on the original. So I shaded around like all the outside edges and around the outside side of my cow. So that's what we're going to do on this next step. Let me get my angled brush. Get that wet a little bit. All right, we're going to come in here with our burnt umber. And I think I'll go around the outer edge of my cow first. We're just going to make this, you know, when you start bringing out the burnt umber, you know that it's starting to look a little primitive because burnt umber just says primitive, I think. Thank you, Perry. Yeah, he's a cutie. Very cute. I'll show you again when I'm a little further along here. I'll show you that it has a little piggy counterpart on another coaster, but I think we're just going to have time to paint the cow tonight. All right, we're almost around the whole thing. All right, we'll give that a quick old dry. And then I'm going to put a little bit on the corners of the actual coaster itself and just a little smidge around the outside edge. This is just to, you know, kind of as filler and just looks nice, I think. It just looks nice to darken up those corners a bit. Let's dry that first before we add more. And then I think we're going to bring our line drawing back over and add his little spots. I'll just put a little more around this edge here. Righto. Good evening, Lady T. Dry this a bit before I bring my line drawing back. And now we're going to add, see, there's the line drawing for my little pig, but we're painting cows. We're painting cows this evening. All right, so let's get those spots in place. Perfect. And we'll just get those traced on. And I mean, you could do these in, I'm going to pretend that tail's not there right yet. You could do your cow in black spots if you want, but I'm going to do mine in burnt umber spots. Doesn't really matter, you know, if you decide you want a black and white cow, you could do it in black and white, but We're doing dark brown on this guy. Girl. This girl, I should say. Get the smaller brush out to get in these little corners. What is the excitement over on Craft Round the Clock these days? I'm so out of the loop. I feel like I'm like missing out on stuff. I need to reintroduce myself to the whole group. All right, fill that one in. And then this big one down here. How are we for time, ladies? So far, so good. I think we should be okay time-wise for this. They don't typically take too long to paint. All right, let's dry those and we'll get a second coat on our little spots, slowly starting to look like a cow. And unfortunately, it usually takes a good 2 coats to cover everything. Thank you, Terry. Terry's going to be my clock watcher. All righty. And burnt umber is kind of a funny little bird in the way that it takes a bit to cover. There. Hopefully that's good. So let's dry it again. We do a lot of drying around here when we have 45 minutes to paint. All right, so now let's start shading our cow with a little bit of that burnt umber as well. So we're going to go around his little face. And this is where things will start to make it look like something once we start getting all of the shading in place. And we'll put a little bit on his ears here. Oh, I probably could, Terry. I just haven't drawn those out yet. But yeah, I could do a sheep even. A goat. Wow, sakes. I don't know if I've ever painted a goat before. I'm sure I could figure it out. So I'm just going to put a little bit around these spots too. I'm just darkening that up a bit around there. Okay, let's give that a quick drying. And we'll go along the top of his snout with a little bit of that burnt umber. All right, and a little bit across the top of the ears here. And then we'll shade out his snout and his inner ears, the pink parts. And we're slowly getting there. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of the blush pink mixed with a little bit of the dragon fruit. So I'm going to dip into both colors and just make it a little bit darker pink, kind of in between those two, actually. And that's what we're going to shade the bottom of his snout with. Just reload there a little bit. I want a little more of the darker pink in there. Get the right mixture. We'll have to do a lot more segments. We'll do them one at a time. We'll do the one farm animal at a time. We'll go along this bottom edge of the ear. But yes, definitely would be cute with all different ones. All right, let's dry that. I think I got this. I think we're good, Terry. I think we're going to be all right. Okay. So for the blacks or the brown spots, I'm going to shade those with a little bit of black on the bottoms. Let's snag some of that. And we'll put some down here, right along that bottom edge. And then we'll come along the bottom edge of this one. And then the one on his head. Hello, Miss Mary Lou. Thank you, Anita. All right, and we will let that dry. Thank goodness for dryers. Goes a lot quicker when you can dry the paint. So the next, I want to highlight each of these little spots. So I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber, and I'm going to grab a little bit of that buttermilk, and we're going to make it a lighter brown. We're mixing colors. See, oh, there. Couldn't see behind me there. So it's just a lighter kind of beige color we're using. And I suppose we could use the desert sand, but you know, it's always fun to mix a little paint every now and then too. We'll go along the top here and his head, we'll highlight that a little bit. And the last spot down here. Sorry, I keep pulling that out of the camera shot. You guys have to yell at me and tell me to get it back in there. I can't see. Just say I can't see. A little bit along the top edge of that spot. All right. I'm moving right along. We're going to do a little bit of a highlight on the pink parts with some white. 15 minutes. Time check. All right. So we got a little bit of white on the top here. And a bit on his little snout. There we have it. We'll dry that and we'll give this guy some eyes and some nostrils. And then we'll start adding the stitching. And then we'll get his tail in there too. Let's transfer his tail over while it's still nice and dry. Let's get that in there first of all, before we start making the surface wet again. Bring our little graphite over here and get that little tail in there. Right on. And we're going to fill that in with some buttermilk as well. We'll go right through that little spot. Okay. We'll let that dry, and we're also going to use a little bit of this buttermilk here to do our stitching. So let's start up here on his head. I think we'll do the stitching around this little spot here first, while we're waiting for that little tail to dry. And then around this bigger spot. And then lastly, we'll do this big spot down here. Okay, now that this is somewhat dry, we can get a second coat on his tail. And we'll move on to his stitching on his ears, and we're multitasking right now. So we're going to get some black on my liner, and we'll do the stitching on the bottom edge here. And around his snout. Now I also did outline my whole cow with some black as well. And we can do that quickly too while we're waiting for that tail to dry. All right. Yeah, they totally would be cute in a nursery. Yeah, you don't have to just do these on a coaster. You could do them on a larger, you know, just increase the size of the line drawing and paint them on a larger scale for sure. So I'm just outlining all of these little areas here while that tail is drying. It'll give us time to get all of this in place. All right, let's go around his, sorry for the spinning, I'm just trying to get a good angle on where I'm hanging on to it as I do his face. We have 10 minutes. And I also did around his little snout as well, around the whole outer edge. Okay. Now we can outline this little tail while we're over here too. And let's shade just that bottom edge of that tail. A little bit of brown, a little bit of burnt umber. Sorry, ladies, I keep pulling that out of the camera. And then we'll do a little white highlight along this edge. See, I smudged a little bit because I'm rushing. Just ignore my smudges. And then all I did is I took a little bit of burnt umber and my liner brush. And I put about 3 little lines here and then put some tail ends on here. All right, so there's his little tail sticking out. And then we can go ahead and give him some eyes. It's just literally two dots with my stylus. So now this little guy can see. I just stuck my hand in wet paint. And we have to fix his little tail. And I used the brush handle for his nostrils. So I'm just going to dip straight into my black. 2 dots there for his nostrils. And then the last thing we have to do, we have about 8 minutes left, and we're going to put a few little flowers over here. And that's about it. Like, honestly, that's how quick and easy this little guy is. I'm going to make his eyes a little bit bigger. We can put a highlight line in his eyes and nostrils once they are dry. All right. Yeah, the stitches really add to them, I think, just as an extra little detail for sure. So I'm going to get some New Leaf. This is one of DecoArt's new colors. I'm going to use that for my greenery on my flowers. And the flowers are really simple. We're just going to do those sort of freehand. They are on the line drawing, but I'm just going to freehand mine. All right, so I'm going to use my liner just to bring in my stems. And there's really no rules to, you know, how many stems you put in here or how many flowers. It's really no big rule where it comes to that. But I'm going to just maybe pull in 3 or 4 stems from this corner, like so. And then I'm just going to use my liner brush to pull in some leaves along the sides of my stems. Okay, so let's dry that quick, and then we'll throw a few little freehand daisies in here. Hey, we did okay. We have 6 minutes left to finish our flowers, and I think we did all right. What do you think? Now, one thing I can do while we're let that greenery cure a little bit, but we can take some white and highlight. I think I kind of missed this step, but we can highlight our little cow with some white on the top of his ears, on the sides of his face. And then, of course, you know, down here on his body a little bit, we can add a little white there. This probably should have been done before I put my flowers on, but I missed that step. I apologize. And a little bit up here. And then also here on this side portion, we can add a little white highlight in here. Sorry, I skipped that step by accident. Hi, Kathy. All right. So now we can add our little flowers, and I think we're just going to be just in time. So here we'll just pull in our petals with our little liner brush. And this is how I, you know, just kind of free-handed these in. And again, there's no rules on how many petals you put on each flower or how many flowers you put in here. And if, you know, you don't have to do them white, you can do them another color if you want to. You know, there's no rules to any of it. I think I'm going to add a few here in the mix down here, kind of as a little filler. I got a little messed up. One here, kind of a half one there. Let's put a little one down here too, just on that bottom edge. What the heck? All right. And then as for centers of our flowers, let's go in with a little burnt umber. Now we probably should let these dry a little bit, but maybe we should dry it a little bit. It's a little bit soggy in there. I'm kind of pushing the envelope. Let's just get it a little bit dry. All right, so then we'll come back in here and get our centers in there. A little burnt umber. And then you can also, I took a little bit of banana cream. Let's take some banana cream and we'll just add a little bit of yellow to our centers as well. 2 minutes. Hey, I think we did okay. We did it. Not bad for my first time back in a while. Pat on the back for me for keeping in time. I must not be as out of practice as I thought. All right, let's take a little highlight for his eyes. We'll put a little white dot in here. Sometimes it just makes the eyes look a little more, ooh, that's a little big, that one. Let's try that again. Let's try it again. There we go. And then you can put a little highlight line in the nostrils as well, like so. And then I also, lastly, I just took my stylus with a with some of that banana cream on there. And you can just add some little filler flowers in here. And then, of course, once it's completely dry, you can seal it. Like, there's a lot of good sealers out there. DecoArt has a good one, and I think it's called DuraClear. That one's pretty good. There's Triple Thick you can use in a spray. There's all kinds of good, clear, non-yellowing sealers out there that you could use to seal your coasters. There you have it. What do you think? All right, so there we have it, ladies, and I think I have a minute to spare. So this is my original. They look pretty darn close. And then, of course, we have our little pig, but we're going to have to do him in another segment at some point. We'll come back in another CRTC segment and do this one. And we could also add other little farm animals too. We can back this up a little bit so you can see them all together. There you go. We got 2 cows and a pig. All right. Thanks very much for joining me with my Craft Around the Clock segment. And we hope to all see you again soon.